Good evening and welcome to Zoyols News. I'm Michael Reed, and this is our top story today. Tensions in the Middle East are once again in the global spotlight after Iran reportedly targeted U.S. military sites, raising fears of further escalation despite an ongoing ceasefire. The developments have also sent shockwaves through global energy markets, keeping investors and consumers on edge as oil prices react to the uncertainty. Stay with us as we bring you the latest updates on Zoyols News. U.S.-Iran strikes are escalating, straining a fragile ceasefire. U.S. President Donald Trump warned of further military action if Iranian strikes continue, while Iran said ceasefire violations could halt diplomacy. The interim agreement has also failed to stabilize shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran says Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon must be part of a final deal. U.S. gas prices fell to $3.87 per gallon, according to AAA. Oil prices fell Brent below $72, WTI near $69, signaling potential relief at the pump, though gas remains higher than pre-war levels. Prices had risen due to disrupted Strait of Hormuz traffic, but eased on hopes shipping would resume after a U.S.-Iran ceasefire. Despite ceasefire talks, U.S. and Iran continued exchanging attacks, making energy markets dependent on restored trade flows and repaired facilities. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned regional states not to allow their territory or facilities to be used for attacks on Iran during talks in Baghdad. Araghchi reiterated that regional countries should prevent aggressors from using local bases to attack Iran. A U.S. official said Iranian drones and missiles were intercepted or failed, with no U.S. injuries, while Iran's IRGC claimed it targeted U.S. sites in Kuwait and Bahrain, further testing the fragile ceasefire.
A Qatari citizen was killed and another person injured by shrapnel during military operations in the area, Qatar's Interior Ministry said. Maritime patrols found the overdue vessel during routine monitoring and transported the injured person to hospital. Qatar said investigations are ongoing, without confirming whether the shrapnel was tied to Iranian drones targeting U.S. sites in Kuwait and Bahrain. The U.S. military said it struck additional Iranian sites near the Strait of Hormuz in response to continued aggression, while a separate segment showed Trump inspecting D.C. renovation projects. Trump toured Lafayette Park with Interior Secretary Doug Burgum as renovations continue, and also checked other D.C. projects including East Potomac Golf Links and a proposed arch near Arlington. The visit came as U.S.-Iran exchanges strained the agreement, and Trump posted the U.S. may need to resume the war. Trump said the U.S. could be forced to militarily complete the job, warning Iran could cease to exist. Trump has framed preventing an Iranian nuclear weapon as a central goal of the conflict. Fars later said the pro-bomb post was user-generated and not its official position, noting the commentary conflicts with Iranian officials and Khamenei's fatwa against nuclear weapons. The Fars commentary argued nuclear deterrence would strengthen Iran's negotiating position and balance U.S.-Israel power, while acknowledging conflict could still occur. Separately, Israel approved continued military operations in southern Lebanon under the ceasefire framework, according to the IDF. A 14-point agreement allows the IDF to act against Hezbollah threats, while Israel says it will honor the deal. Hezbollah and Iran rejected it and demanded full Israeli withdrawal, and Lebanon reported Israeli strikes near Deir Syrian and Taybeh. An Israeli soldier was killed in a firefight with a Hezbollah militant as attacks continued. The U.S.-Iran ceasefire has been strained by further strikes. Bahrain and Kuwait reported being targeted, and ships are shifting routes in the Strait of Hormuz amid rising tension over control and security. More vessels are using a southern route near Oman, as Iran insists ships need its permission and designated routes, reducing Tehran's leverage. Fresh Israeli attacks and a soldier's death in Lebanon added pressure, while Iran blamed the U.S. for not stopping Israel and reiterated demands for Israeli withdrawal in a final deal. Shipping companies say the U.S.-Iran interim peace deal hasn't stabilized the Strait of Hormuz, creating confusion and risk for crews. 3 competing routes have emerged: Oman side, the pre-war Central Lane, and a northern Iran-controlled route, forcing operators to choose between attack risk and sanctions exposure. Choosing non-Iranian routes may invite attack, while using Iran's route could trigger Western sanctions if the deal collapses. The IRGC called unapproved routes unacceptable. Araghchi warned parallel arrangements would increase tensions, and analysts said unresolved disputes could lead to chaotic and unsafe routing by mid-August. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Mike Waltz said the U.S. will keep targeting Iranian infrastructure if Iran threatens shipping or U.S. bases in the Strait of Hormuz. He said diplomacy continues, but warned Trump's patience is limited after Trump's earlier threat that Iran could cease to exist. Waltz said all options remain on the table to ensure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Iran said a final deal must include full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon as fighting continues and strains the tentative U.S.-Iran agreement. Iran said the memorandum's first clause requires ending Israel's military operations in Lebanon, though the text doesn't explicitly demand a full withdrawal. Iran's negotiator Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said the goal is ending the war, enabling returns, ending occupation, and securing Israeli withdrawal. Israel says it won't withdraw from southern Lebanon due to Hezbollah threats, while a process is underway for the Lebanese military to gradually take control. Multiple June agreements have failed to stop fighting, and Hezbollah has not been disarmed or removed from the south. With Israel, Lebanon, Iran, Hezbollah, and the U.S. all holding different positions, comprehensive peace remains distant. A June 4 U.S. brokered ceasefire required Hezbollah to stop fire and leave the south, but Hezbollah rejected it, and Israel doubted the Lebanese army could disarm the group. A subsequent U.S.-Iran memorandum proposed 60 days of negotiations and called for ending fighting including in Lebanon, but Israel and Lebanon weren't parties, and Netanyahu said it wasn't binding. Fighting continued despite the diplomatic track. Israel and Hezbollah renewed a ceasefire as Iran demanded an end to Lebanon fighting before U.S. talks, yet violence continued with heavy casualties. Israel and Lebanon later signed another U.S.-backed framework toward broader peace, described by Rubio as the beginning of the beginning, but Hezbollah rejected it. Fresh Israeli attacks were reported 2 days after a U.S.-brokered Israel-Lebanon-U.S. agreement, and an Israeli captain was killed in a firefight in southern Lebanon. The clashes could complicate broader U.S.-Iran peace efforts, while Israel said a drone strike targeted a threat to troops. Netanyahu praised the agreement, but Ben-Gvir called it a mistake. Israel will withdraw from 2 areas and transfer them to the Lebanese military. Hezbollah condemned the deal, while Bahrain and Kuwait condemned Iranian attacks after U.S.-Iran strikes strained the ceasefire near the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. and Iran traded further strikes near the Strait of Hormuz, as Trump warned of more military action, and accused Iran of violating the ceasefire. Bahrain said it was hit by ballistic missiles and drones, while Kuwait condemned repeated attacks as violations of sovereignty. Iran said the U.S. strikes went against the June 18 ceasefire agreement, and warned that further incidents could affect ongoing diplomatic efforts. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also said that outside involvement in the Strait of Hormuz could increase regional tensions, and stated that shipping capacity could return within 30 days under Iran's management. He further stressed that the conflict should come to an end across the region, including in Lebanon. An Israeli soldier was killed in southern Lebanon, and Lebanon state media reported strikes near Deir Sarian and Tebe. Separately, Iran was eliminated from the 2026 FIFA World Cup after a difficult tournament amid regional violence. Ship tracking data shows more merchant vessels are taking the southern Strait of Hormuz route close to Oman, including oil tankers and gas carriers with transponders on. Some ships still use a route closer to Iran, highlighting continued uncertainty over safe passage.
Those are the latest developments on the growing tensions in the Middle East, with global attention now focused on whether diplomacy can hold and prevent further escalation. For more breaking news and in-depth coverage, stay with us here on Zoyols News. I'm Michael Reed, thanks for watching and have a good day.